I'm a big believer, innovate or die in this business. If you're not innovating, changing, and keeping it interesting, you're not creating, exciting moments for the guests. I think the guests deserve that.
Everyone eats out, but people often miss how the food arrives on their plate. Every meal has a story of growers, suppliers, founders, and operators making it all happen. Welcome to Grounded. I'm Lauren Mitchell, and each week I will bring you conversation with the amazing people behind the brands you know and the ones you'll want to know. Grounded is powered by the Buyer's Edge platform, the leading food service digital procurement network, powered by data, software, and collaborative relationships. Let's get grounded. We have a fabulous guest today. Burger and pizza fans and operational leaders, this one is for you. He's an operations executive, award-winning franchisee with nearly 30 years of experience scaling winning brands. He's led major brands including BurgerFi, Smashburger, Ruby Tuesday, and Bertucci's. Currently, the president and chief operating officer of Riko's Pizza. Carl Bachmann, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Lauren. Happy to be here.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to this one and excited to start the week talking about your tavern-style pies. I need to know more about this hot oil pizza I've been reading about.
Oh, it's awesome. It's different. It's just a unique offering. It's really great. Super thin crust, which is great, really light. And the hot oil is unique.
Yes, it is unique. So we'll get into a little bit about Riko's in specific, but want to go back in time just a little bit, specifically in your past roles. What drew you to Riko's Pizza, given the experience you've had with some of the brands you've been with?
Well, as you know, I've been in the restaurant space, my entire life. That's all I've ever done. I grew up loving restaurants, working in restaurants. I think I got into restaurants because of the adrenaline rush that they create and the engaging with people. I'm very much a people person, so I like that engagement piece of it. So when it came down to Rico's, I engaged with Riko. I was down in Florida, and Riko reached out and said, "I'm coming down to meet you, and we're going to go have dinner." And I said, "Okay." And we talked for hours the first night that we met, and we realized we had so much in common around a passion for this business, a passion for people. I've never met a more engaged founder who just loves what he does and has a vision and excited about it, and has a passion for his people and his product. So it was a no-brainer for me. And Rico's is kind of like a startup, and it was so exciting. The product is awesome, and it's different, and it's unique, and I really thought that I could bring something to the table. So it was really an amazing few hours we spent. I think after the first dinner, we knew we were going to work together. Or as Riko put it, is like, you don't have a choice. You're going to come work with me. So it was a lot of fun.
I love that. Started with good connection and, of course, having founders that are engaged. Your experience has been both operational leadership, but you also have been a franchisee. So you understand essentially how each unit is comprised as its own company, its own business. And I think that makes you particularly valuable. Can you talk about your experience with both, just being an operational leader, and perhaps from there, like what intrigued you to become a franchisee?
Well, I was a franchisee in the 90s for a brand called Ruby Tuesday. It was at the time a really growing brand. And the founder there, Sandy Bell, was a true mentor in my life. I model a lot of what I do after what he did. And another gentleman by the name of Robert McClanagan were mentors to me, who led Ruby Tuesday and founded that brand. And they founded it on people, product, process, so people always being first. So when I had an opportunity, I was a regional leader for them. When I had an opportunity to franchise the Long Island market where I lived at the time, I jumped on the opportunity. I think what really helps me in today's jobs that I've done over the last 15 years or so, which a lot of corporate turnarounds, a lot of reorganizations, and this really is a startup, is the benefit of being a small business owner and understanding what it takes to wear every hat. Understanding you had to learn real estate and finance. It wasn't just restaurant operations as a franchisee. They need to understand accounting, finance, real estate, construction, administering benefits, HR, all things that were never equipped till you grew up in the restaurant business. So as a franchisee, you learn a lot of that. You have no choice but to learn it. And as a result, as an executive later in life, it gives me a big advantage because I've walked in their shoes. I know what it's like. I understand their stress points. So I can get them across some finish lines that maybe they didn't think they could get across. But I can also understand the hurdles that they're trying to jump through to get across those finish lines. So I think that's the advantage.
Sure. You've walked in their shoes, and as you've mentioned, you've worn many hats. What do you think has been, or what do you think is the most challenging component to being a franchisee in today's market?
I think there's a lot of things. Franchisees uh, are strong-willed people, big personalities, risk takers. So it's very hard for them to align with a corporate mentality. They buy a franchise and they say, "Oh, I love this franchise. I'm going to run it." And then day one, or even previous to day one, they want to change the franchise because they have a strong belief system. So to somehow garner or hold that energy and that excitement and move their excitement for their passion for their individual thoughts and garner that or somehow s- get it to the point where they can relate to what we're trying to accomplish. That's the real challenge because these entrepreneurs are passionate people and they're going to be successful if they work within the confines of the strategy. And so to me, that's the biggest challenge for franchisees. It's the biggest challenge for franchisors. A lot of franchisors don't understand that these franchisees are very independent, strong-willed, in most cases, successful people that have done things, and they have opinions on how they want to do things. So working between those two, serving two masters is not easy. And I think that's the biggest challenge for all franchisors, frankly, is how do you support franchisees, how you hold them accountable, and also hold them to a standard, but also listen to them. Some of the best ideas that I get are from franchisees. And I think that's another big part of it too. Franchisors have to be uh, somewhat somewhat strict, but also somewhat lenient at the same time. They have to bend where it makes the appropriate time to bend, and that's a big challenge.
Yeah, it's a tough balance to strike. As you mentioned, the entrepreneurial spirit is unique, and you don't want to simmer that fire, but behoves both to have an aligned focus on the growth and strategy of the brand. So, absolutely, I love that answer. Talking about just the focus on growth and success of the brand, you could use this for Rico's or perhaps any of the previous brands you've been with. What leadership principle do you think is most important, to you to focus on that, to focus on the strategy and the growth and success of the brand?
Well, I think there's a couple things that I would throw kind of in to answer that question. I think first of all, the mentality's got to be a certain way, and my mentality is, as a franchisor, is a win-win-win mentality, and what that means is that every decision we make should be held up to a standard that says that it's definitely a win for the guest, it's definitely a win for the team member, and it's definitely a win for the shareholder. And the shareholders are the executives, the investors, and most importantly, the franchisees as well. That's the big piece. So how do you find and make decisions that hit that win-win-win mentality? So that's kind of the style or strategy around it. I believe in certain pillars of a business and foundational pillars, which we can talk about. But if you don't apply this win-win-win mentality, um, it's not going to be successful in the long term. So, for instance, I'll give you an example. Um, we might drive huge discounts in a corporate environment to drive sales, and that drives revenue, and it drives royalties for a franchisor, but it doesn't drive profit for the franchisee. So you have to really balance that and say, was that a win for, yeah, maybe it was a win for a corporate, but was it a win for the franchisee? Was it a win for the shareholder? Was it a win for the guest? Maybe. Was it a win for the team member? I'm not sure. So every decision you have to balance, again, those three W's for me: win for the guest, win for the team member, and win for our shareholders and franchisees. So to me, that's the style or strategy, if that makes sense.
That's awesome. Win, win, win. No, that's great. How about culture? Is Is there some feedback that you can provide across building that culture across the multiple franchise locations? So especially when they're, spread across up and down the East Coast, such as you are, and as you said, they're very independent operators. What's been your experience with best practice in establishing that?
Yeah, I think it starts with there's four foundational pieces that I think any franchisee or franchisor has to have. Number one, obviously, you hear it all the time: location, location, location. So I really think this business is boiled up to four major things, and then from there you create foundational pieces for your business. So the four major, principles, I guess, is location, people, product, and process. If you have those four elements, then you can build an organization. You can build a company, whether it's franchisor, franchisee, corporate, doesn't matter. I think those are foundational. And then from there, you have to build pillars to your business. So what's important to Ricos, or why or how we're going to get our message across to our guests and to our team members and our shareholders. And those five pillars are really result in what I call my foundational elements, which is number one is infrastructure, which is really a fancy word for people. The number one asset we have isn't our pizza, though I think it's great. It's not our baked wings, which I think are great. It's not our salad pizzas, which are unique. Those are all cool, but the number one thing is the people that are doing it. So to me, infrastructure, putting the right people in place, the right support mechanism in place, so that you can be successful and be consistent. So infrastructure is by far the number one pillar, foundational piece that every company has to have. So we have to build that first. What is our infrastructure? How are we going to support our corporate and franchise growth? So that's number one. Number two, I think, is taste and quality. So is the food quality there? Is the platform to deliver that food quality there? Is the taste of the food something that's relevant and flavor forward? I think a lot of brands in the last 20 or 30 years got this idea of bland, middle of the road food is the way to go because, it attracts everybody. It's safe. And I don't think you get ahead by being safe. So I think you have to be flavor forward. So the second pillar to me is really taste and quality and flavor forward food. The third one is defining your portfolio. And I talked about location earlier, but it's understanding everything about your portfolio. Where does your restaurant work? Where doesn't it work? It doesn't work for everyone everywhere. What size restaurant should it be? How many square feet should it be? How large should the bar be? What is the platform for delivering the products through the restaurant, through takeout? How do you get a product from, the back door to the table? I think that is all part of defining the portfolio. So understanding and having real thought process around developing that is defining your portfolio, which is step three. Step four to me, or foundational pillar number four, I guess you would say, is gold standards, like having an understanding of what the expectation is and having processes set up so you can consistently deliver the right product and the right services. So to me, that's a big step, and that's one that was lacking for us, is not having a lot of the right processes in place so we could duplicate what we do so well in Connecticut, where we were founded. So for me, that's step four, gold standards and processes. And step five, I like to say, is punch above your weight. And what I mean when I say punch above your weight is, a little company acts big, and there's an ability to do that in today's world through marketing. And how do you market a small brand on a small budget and still give the support that our corporate and franchise stores need? And that to me is social media. It's really defined. It's doing podcasts. It's communicating. It's putting yourself out there and putting the community on alert that we're here, we're part of the community, we're engaged. So for me, step five of that pillar is really having a foundational plan around telling the world your story. And so those are the five pillars. So infrastructure, taste and quality, defining the portfolio, gold standards and processes so you can duplicate it. And then, punch above your weight and tell the world all about it. To me, that's the foundational principles. And if you have that, you understand that, you can create a culture. If you don't have those systems in place, you can't create culture. Being a good guy or being a good leader or being supportive, and I believe in servant leadership and accountability. That's great for culture. But if you don't have foundational principles and ideas about how your business should run, I don't think you're equipped to create a culture.
That's so good. Well said. I'll have to put those 5 pillars in the show notes. Those are really well put together. Um, like you mentioned that you've started it, or you guys are started in Connecticut. You've been described as kind of a cult favorite brand, but of course, critical success is that growth piece that we're talking about. How do you approach the scalability without sacrificing the identity, or how are you going about expansion for the brand?
I believe for growth, like what I call a fortressing effect. And what I mean by that is grow like a bush, not like a vine. And what I mean by that is grow where you're strong, build support where you have brand awareness, where you have the ability to create economies of scale, whether it's media penetration, whether it's operational support, supply chain, all those things come into play. And a lot of franchisors get excited, and I get it, and they want to grow fast, and we all want to grow fast. But if you grow fast and reckless, you can't support the people. You can't support the operations. You can't support the marketing. You just financially can't do it, and you physically can't do it. So I really believe you grow kind of like a bush, not like a vine. You grow in hubs. So we want to grow outwardly from Connecticut and let the word be taken, slowly. And what I mean by fortressing is you want to grow to the next hub and the next really demographic spot where there's some brand awareness. So if we're in Fairfield County, Southern Connecticut. We'll grow up the state in Connecticut. We'll grow into New York, maybe into New Jersey. And then we have a little bit of a hub in Florida. So we're going to have 2 bushes growing, I guess, one in South Florida and one in Connecticut. And somehow we'll connect them down the road. I always say the best organizations that have been around, the big monster organizations that have been in this business forever, really grew on the I-95 corridor. They grew based on that philosophy. And if you look at, density maps and where the people are, that's where 80% of the population still is today, off that I-95 corridor. So if you grow like a hub here and a hub there, they'll meet in the middle, and boom, you have the East Coast. So that's kind of our growth strategy, if that makes sense to you.
Makes perfect sense. All right. So for those that are curious, haven't been into a Riko's, what can they expect walking in the door? Maybe talk through the salad pizza and another menu favorite, but just, again, more to the experience inside the restaurant. What does it look and feel like, and the values that it's grounded in?
Yeah, I would say we're a family-friendly, family-first restaurant. We have a bar, and we have a great sports bar following. We have a lot of sports on TV, TVs everywhere. So we believe in sports, but that's because people center in American culture. Families, congregate around sports. So we think it makes sense and it fits. But it's a rustic, oak rustic looking restaurant. So it's very, very warm, feels friendly. We really focus on family offerings. So you talked about salad pizza. Our pizza, the first thing you're going to notice is when you get a pizza is how thin it is. It's super, super thin, super light. I like it because I can just eat more, you know? In 2 slices, I could eat a whole pie, because it's super light, it's super thin, very high quality product. But we pride ourselves in having that thin crust pizza, which is very light, tons of toppings and flavors and unique offerings. But we also offer our salad pizzas, which I think are unique. And we've recently elevated our crust game. And our crust game is all about different crusts for different pizzas. So a lot of places offer a salad pizza. So it's just a pizza with their signature tomato sauce, and they put a salad on top of it. Well, we're taking that game a little farther. So we're elevating the crust. So like we have a Caesar salad pizza crust. So we actually use a Caesar dressing that we cook into the crust to give it more flavor. So it really
Wow.
pops, or we have a chicken Mediterranean pizza that we're doing right now, which has got, an olive oil, Parmesan based crust. We have a barbecue chicken ranch salad pizza, which is a barbecue crust. So really elevating the game, making it more interesting. Again, remember what I said earlier about flavor forward,
Yeah.
I don't want to just be average or standard or what and you could get anywhere. So we're elevating our game with the crust. So I think those are things you'd see. If you snuck back in the kitchen, you'd see we don't have fryers, we don't have microwaves. Our restaurants are extremely clean and well managed. We do our wings, we bake all our wings. So we sell a lot of wings and they're all baked. So they're a little healthier for you, a little lighter for you. So those are things I think that are different. The coolest thing I think you would say, and you walk in our restaurants, is kids. You'd walk in and you see kids sitting at a table, and I mean little kids, toddlers, being able to hold a slice of our pizza because it's so firm and it's so thin and it's so light. You can literally have a toddler or just past infant eating their first slice of pizza instead of mom and dad with a knife and the fork and cutting little pieces. To me, that's the most exciting thing when I see, I guess because I'm a grandpa now, but when I see all these kids in there enjoying our pizza and holding a slice of pizza, um, kids are driving their parents to our restaurants because they enjoy that experience, and the parents just are having a ball with it. So I think we offer enough of breadth of menu and variety of menu for everybody. But man, that's what I think you'd see. I think you'd see this rustic, charming place with a lot of kids in it and sports on the televisions. And it's pretty unique.
Oh, it sounds fantastic, Carl. I'm a mother for yeah, pizza in the hand and not knife and fork and moms. That is so cool. Sports obviously very fun. There's so much that especially with Winter Olympics coming in this winter, that I'm sure you guys can do there. Community outreach. Do you guys sponsor any local baseball teams with the brand yet?
Oh, sure. So in Fairfield, we've banners up in the Little League fields, and
Okay,
soccer is a big one now. So we're involved in the soccer organizations,
fun.
PTA, police force, fire department. I mean,
Love it.
we definitely want to be part of the community. And that's not just to drive sales. That's the culture Rico instilled here, is we're part of the community. When he opened the first Ricos, I don't know that he had a vision of opening them all over the country. He opened up to be a great place for people to, spend time together and eat pizza and have fun. So we're bringing pizzas every weekend. We're bringing them out to fields and donating to, I love these like Little League parades or the soccer parades, and we'll donate pizza to that. So yeah, getting involved in the community is a huge part of it, and a huge part of the makeup of our founder. And what he may be more passionate about that than even the pizza, is being part of his community.
It's important, and yeah, that's pizza's big for sports for sure. So tell me about Rico. Is he the one behind some of the menu innovation, or how are you leaning into either trends or guest feedback to drive decisions on what's going on that menu?
Yeah, I'm a big believer in innovate or die in this business. If you're not innovating, changing, and keeping it interesting, you're not creating, exciting moments for the guests. I think the guests deserve that. So I'm very involved in the innovation part of it. I think when it comes to developing new items and new menu items, we look at a couple things. One, obviously, we look at trends. We look at a lot of data, like everybody else does. But we also say, how can we take a different twist on it and elevate it? Like I talked about with the salad pizzas, how do we take a little twist on elevating our game and making it more interesting? So we just did an LTO called Summer of Salad Pizzas. Maybe we'll do Winter of Wings. We'll see. But so I think comfort food is important. I think people enjoying innovation and new changes and new tweaks on what we do. So I think that's kind of how we develop our LTOs and our new menu items. So keeping it interesting, keeping it elevated. One of the things that we do is we use so much raw, fresh ingredients that we bring in, that we have a lot of flexibility in menu creation. So we can create a lot of things without adding new SKUs or new items. So it's really easy for us to take a high quality product. Look, if you start with a high quality product and you treat it right along the way, you'll end up with a high quality product. So I think that's the key about it. So when it comes to innovation, we're using fresh proteins and fresh vegetables and, our own proprietary dough and sauce, and we grate our own cheese. So there's no gas in the cheese like you get with a bagged cheese. So little details like that is, I think, how we continue to innovate and keep the menu fresh.
Summer salad pizza sounds fantastic. It's been fun to hear about and actually support brands on their LTO offerings, because many times that's when long-term menu items are born out of. They test it through an LTO and people get so upset when it goes away. So it's a fun testing incubator period for driving new changes in the menu. So
100%, 100%. My philosophy has always been, if it can't make the menu, it shouldn't make the LTO. If it's not good enough to make the menu, Like, I want to have a fight. I want to have a real argument over what are the right things to put on our menu because we have so many great choices, right? So
Yeah.
you want the LTOs to be the same caliber as your menu or better, or continue to elevate your game. So I think you're right. And I'll tell you, a lot of LTO ideas come from our culinary team, but a lot of them come from our franchisees, and a lot of them come from our employees saying, "Have you tried this?" Or people ask for that. So guest feedback is huge. So we drive a lot of our innovation from our employees and our guests.
Yeah, that goes back to putting that ear to your front line, for sure. It's giving you important feedback on ideas. And they feel invested in the brand too when they see some of those things come to bloom. So I love that.
Yeah, in my past life, we've actually named items after the employee that came up with them and stuff like
Love
that.
it.
Yeah, having fun with it. I mean, sometimes we take it a little too seriously. We're in the restaurant business. We're blessed to be in a business that's not so terribly important. I mean, it creates a great service, but sometimes you have to have a little fun with it.
Oh, I love that. Naming it after the employee thing. Or a favorite or a regular customer that comes up with it. That's super cool. Super cool to contribute back to your guests like that.
Absolutely.
All right. So backing out of Rico's just slightly again, you've got over 30 years in the industry. You've seen a lot, up until and through and after COVID, for an example. And then most recently with all the tariffs and regulations we're experiencing now. Um, what do you see as the biggest shifts coming in fast casual dining over the next, say, 3 to 5 years?
Well, I think there's a huge concern about the value equation. And what I mean by that is I think guests need to have perceived value. People work very hard, and not that they haven't always, but I think now the cost of living is so high,
Yeah.
especially in the Northeast, but everywhere in the country. So it's a real commitment to take your family out to dinner. It's a real commitment, right? It's a financial commitment. So you better have value there. So I think that's going to be a challenge for franchisees, franchisors. I think the entire industry is how do you create value? And you see that in a lot of the large national chains are doing all kinds of different programs to create value, and really get people to come back into the restaurants and get that kind of type of experience. So I think the challenge will be developing products that have great perceived value to the consumer, um, and still keep our costs in line, which is a challenge. So that's that tug of war that we all go through. How do you create value and still create margin for your restaurants? And I think that's where you come back to fresh, raw ingredients and using your existing ingredients in different ways, presenting different ways, different flavors, different spices, different presentations of products. So to me, I think that's where you're going to see the industry go to. That's something that we're trying to do already at Rico's is get creative around what we know we do best and we do well, and change proteins or change spices or seasonings or how you layer things. And I mean, that's to me, that's where the industry is going to have to go.
How about specifically for franchise brands and what would you say is important for them to stay agile in the face of labor shortages and all of the inflationary concern? Any specific advice towards franchise brands in particular?
Yeah, it's not how many and how fast you grow. It's the quality of the ones you grow. And I think that's true in choosing a franchisee for a franchisor. And when a franchisee grows, I think that's also true in choosing the right location, uh, choosing even down to a lot of the details, choosing how many draft lines they put in. That's just give me an example of how much detail there could be in your decision making. So if you have a bar and you choose 12 drafts, or 16 or 20 because you think that's what the guest wants, but you haven't entered the fact that you're not going to move that beer fast enough, you're not going to rotate that fast enough. There are costs, there are ongoing costs, the initial costs, all those things come into play. So I think franchisors have a responsibility to build a profitable box, so to speak. And what I mean by that is getting the right size, the right equipment, the right efficiencies. We're constantly looking at new equipment to see if we can be more efficient so that our employees can do more with less and we can do more with less. So I think from franchisees to the best advice I would tell a franchisee is pick a franchisor wisely,
Mhm.
know your business, understand the brand, um, understand the direction of the brand, um, and don't go too fast. I think sometimes franchisees go really fast, and franchisors go really fast. They sell a lot of franchisees. You read about it in the news. They all make a lot of money, but the person holding the bag is that franchisee because they're there after that franchisor is sold. Rico's is a family business. We're not looking to sell our business, so we're focused on slow and steady wins the race. Do it right. Do it right the first time. So I don't know if that makes sense to you, but I think that's a strategy that's not often employed in our industry. It's go fast, go big, go home, and I think you need to be steady and smart in your growth.
No, I think that's right on. Just dropping your roots deeper and becoming really strong in terms of brand presence regionally. And it just goes back to the bush and vine that you so beautifully articulated. I think that was very well put. So family style, we've talked about that in the sports for certain. You might have just hit on it with the equipment touch, but technology, updating tech stacks, either for front of house or back of house. Being in your position now over the brand and focusing on all units, have you touched technology in a way that's supported either the employees within the brand or just overall operations, or are you guys just kind of taking that one thing at a time too?
Well, one of the first things that I think we talked about was consistency. How do we have process? Pillar number 4 is for me is gold standards and processes. In order to have gold standards and processes, you have to have great training. You have to go great training materials. You have to have great communication. So one of the first things that we brought to Rico's when I got here was a learning management system. So this is how that layers into technology. We're using a company called Opus, which I think is one of the leading new companies in that learning management systems. And they're more than an LMS. They're a communication tool. They're a training tool. They're really your matter experts. That it becomes your matter expert referral. So the first thing we did was launch Opus. One of the first things we did, and really happy with having a learning management system so that we can train, so that employees can understand and they can have it right on their phones. People learn on their phones. They communicate on their phones. And so I think it's really important that happened. So that's one of the first things. So we built our recipes in there. We built our training materials in there. We built our communication tools in there. You can go there for anything and search anything that is Rico's. And I think that number 1 is a huge communication tool that we invested a lot of time and talent and treasure in. So that was number 1. Number 2 is really modernizing our POS system. So we're moving to a new POS system that's going to give better support to our staff. We're adding handheld devices that make the entire transaction so much more seamless. Being able to take a handheld to a table as opposed to a pad and a pen, less mistakes, self-training. Handheld devices actually train the servers on upsells, and they train the servers not to forget about details on a pizza. There's a lot of details on a pizza, a lot of special orders on a pizza. You don't want to get that wrong. So there is a huge place for technology in the restaurant space. So adding those handheld devices, a new modern POS system, adding a kitchen display system. So though that's not modern, that's been around a long time. That's something we needed at Rico. So getting away from handheld tickets, tickets printing in the kitchen and losing tickets and less mistakes. Handheld devices getting the product to the kitchen or to the bar area faster. So it gets out to the guests faster. So you can turn tables faster. So there's a ton of technology pieces that we put in place just in the start. But I think those are the 2 big ones. Using third-party catering companies to help us with catering and getting our word out on what our offerings are. So a lot of technology partners that we've engaged over the first few months.
Well, a lot to look forward to. How about what makes you most excited about the brand for this year in particular?
I think it's exciting because we're putting a lot of things in place. I see our founder Riko, and he just has a big grin on his face because we're actually living his dream, and that's
Yeah.
exciting. To putting all the pieces of the puzzle and taking us from a family 1 or 2, 3 restaurant operation to to a growing chain that delivers a high quality product. So to me, the growth is exciting. Slow and steady wins the race, like I said. So we're growing, but we're also excited about our corporate growth. I believe franchisors need to grow. I always think they have to have some skin in the game. I don't think it's just franchisees. I think franchise-only models are really risky business. Whereas I think if the franchisor has their own skin in the game, then we understand the same problems and the same challenges and the same opportunities that franchisees go through. So I'm really excited about our corporate growth. We have a bunch of new restaurants opening over the next few months, and some new franchisees have joined us just recently. So really excited about our new franchisees. So to me, that's really exciting as we grow kind of our people and our teams.
Yeah, I'm imagining the twinkle in Rico's eye. What an incredible experience to live and see this come through. And the contributions that you are making are so clear, Carl. You hit on everything. I normally wrap with a couple questions that I'm just between win-win-win and the 5 pillars of the foundation, and just the overall growth principles that you have in terms of the brand strength. You've really hit it all, and I think you're incredibly intelligent in this area. I'm so glad that you've given me the time today and to hear about Rico's. The pizza in the kiddo's hand is huge with me. I love that image, and I can't wait to try Rico's.
We'll have to get you out to the East Coast. I don't know how long before we get to Minnesota or wherever you're at, but get you out to the East Coast and try our pizza. Would be great. Yeah, and it's the whole thing is just fun. We're just having fun, and I appreciate all the kind words, but it's years and years of experience and learning, and just learning from great mentors, and frankly making mistakes and understanding. I'm the first one to have the humility to understand that maybe I didn't do something as well last time, or I could do something better. And if you have that humility, you can always get better. And to me, that's what it's all about. So I'm just enjoying it. And you're right, the twinkle in Rico's eye, it's fun to watch. It's fun to see a family business expand like this and create opportunities for so many people. So very exciting.
Incredible. For those that have been listening and want to get a hold of you, as I'm sure many do, just to ask questions either about parts of what they heard today, do you mind if we share where people can find you?
Sure. You can email me direct if you want. It's real easy. It's Carl, Carl, at Rikos, Rikos pizza.com. That's probably the easiest way to reach me. Of course, you can find me on LinkedIn or wherever, but the easiest thing is just email me at Carl at Rikos Pizza. We keep it really simple. Just shoot me an email. Happy to talk with you.
There you have it. Check out ricospizza.com for a full display of menu offerings. Go get yourself the salad pizza, hot oil pizza, and check out the kickoff game for the NFL season in a Rico's. Thank you so much, Carl.
Thank you very much. Enjoyed it.
All right. And if you learned something today or laughed, please tell someone about this podcast. It's been another wonderful episode of Grounded. See you soon.
That's a wrap on this episode of Grounded. We've covered a lot of ground as we explored what it really takes to run food service behind the scenes. For show notes, highlights, and our latest market insights, visit us at groundedonthepod.com. Grounded is powered by the Buyer's Edge platform, delivering smarter solutions, greater efficiency, and real savings through connected tech, powerful data, and industry expertise. For more information and to get a personal demo of the Buyer's Edge platform, email me at lauren.mitchell@producealliance.com. And if you liked what you heard, subscribe so you don't miss an episode.